Should we sing Hillsong songs right now?
For the record.
Welcome to the Worship Leader Hangout podcast. We're glad you're here. What's up, David?
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Chad?
Oh, not much. It has been a long time. I'm just so glad to be back on a podcast with you talking. Not that we haven't talked. You and I have talked a lot in the last however long. But
yeah, but it's not always easy to just, hey, let's do a podcast. I'm pessimistic right now. So it's not like we make money. We don't make any money on this, and we got to keep our jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have a good time, though, on the podcast. I think that's what matters more
Yes.
than... Sorry, somebody just called me, so I'm responding to them real quick. But, yeah, I mean, we have a good time. We learn from each other. And that's how this channel started, is through this kind of interaction with each other and learning from each other on this kind of thing. And I think it's worth spending our time on and worth people listening, because we now have built up years and years of experience. But honestly, some of the things we talk about is, it doesn't take a lot of experience to learn a lot of these things. But I think the question we're asking today...
Actually,
go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to get, and that question is important, and I don't want to, people watch the thing and they're like, hey man, y'all aren't talking about it yet. Well, one thing I would say about listening to our podcast or watching the YouTube channel is people get to see our journey almost from day one, right?
Yeah,
I'm 31
they really
now.
could.
They literally can see it because it's all on YouTube from the very beginning, right? So it's pretty cool to see the journey and watch, nothing happens overnight. All right.
That's right.
Of that. Yeah.
But
let's get into this.
Yeah, we can get into it. I didn't really have any opinion about it until you asked me. And so when you asked me, I was like, oh man, yeah, let's think about this for a second. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and so this is a bit raw. Like I didn't write notes on purpose because it's good for people to maybe listen through a train of thought and not necessarily a well-crafted response. And so
people sometimes would rather listen to that train of thought through that train of thought. It's more fun sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just raw.
Yeah, exactly. And so how do we approach anything like this? Well, there's the God first principle, right? Like, okay, how do we approach it from a biblical perspective? But I don't necessarily have an immediate biblical answer to it. The only thing I can think of, is something about, I couldn't think of anything right off the bat. I don't even want to say what I was thinking about. It was like the thing with meat. Does that apply? Okay. Allowing your brother to stumble in some way. But what I did think about was the scripture is balanced. And what's a balanced way of looking at this?
Okay.
And so in some ways, me and you, I try to stay out of, what's happening all the time, but this is so much in your face. You can't help but see it. And what I'm thinking about is our people can't help but see it, right?
Right.
I know that they are aware of what's going on with Hillsong. And so the question I have in my mind right now is, if we sing this song, will this cause us to want to honor God, right? As we did before when we sung these types of songs? Or now, when we sing these songs, are they going to bring up images of Hillsong to our mind? Are they going to take, in that moment, our affections away from God and cause us to think about everything happening with the church right now? And so I think you have to know your people. So do you have any thoughts on that
The immediate thought is, like what you were saying, is that it could, if they know that it's a Hillsong song, they probably know what's going on, especially if they watch any kind of news. I mean, when you asked and we started, messing with this podcast, getting ready for it, I just pulled up Hillsong Church on Google, and the top 4 results, I'm going to read them. There's the top 4 results. How scandals drove Hillsong to lose its American churches. Second one, fallen Hillsong church boss deeply sorry for boozing father's evil. Third one, woman alleging affair with Carl Lentz about how former Hillsong pastor on some beach or something. I don't know. Anyway, talks about, okay, yeah. I guess she talks about some alleged affair or whatever with him. And I didn't search Hillsong scandals or Hillsong problems. I searched Hillsong Church. So, it's just so people will know about it, especially when it's New York Times, New York Post, people.com. Ain't nobody look at Yahoo, but that's one of them.
Maybe the musical culture of your church is that most of your members are oblivious to who sings what song.
Who sings what song,
right?
Yeah. And I think that you could get away, get away with is a bad term. I think that you could sing a song by Hillsong in a lot of churches and not hardly anybody other than maybe the band and people involved with the worship and production know that it's a Hillsong written song or produced song. And it wouldn't be a problem necessarily as far as somebody disengaging from an actual time of worship and thinking about all the issues, or just like, oh my gosh, why are they singing a song by a church and a pastor that just did this or found out about So I think that in some cases it might be fine, I guess, depending on what the song is.
Do you think it's fine in your church?
I don't remember the last Hillsong song that we sang. Do I think?
Oh yeah, you're elevation fanatic.
Maverick City music more so nowadays than anybody.
That's true.
But
yeah, that's right.
But yeah. No, I think we did. What song is that? It's about New Wine. I think that's the latest Hillsong one that ended up being sung in our church, because it wasn't planned. It was just one that we just kind of went into at a certain point in either the worship service or like an altar call kind of thing. But I don't think that most people would really realize who that is unless it's like What a Beautiful Name or Oceans or something like that. Then I think right away or Tell the World That Jesus
I think it's actually it's going to be the popular songs that may prove to be more challenging than anything.
Yeah, because
like
then
King of Kings.
Right. What you're going to run into is you're going to run into probably a little bit different problem. Somebody on your worship team is going to see. Sorry, I'm playing with something in front of me. I need to stop. Somebody on your worship team is going to see. Oh, let's just use What a Beautiful Name for example. Somebody's going to see that on the schedule, and then at rehearsal, like, it depends on what kind of people you have and what kind of person this is, but they may be like, "Oh man, did you hear about all this stuff? Did you hear about this?"
Yeah.
And it's going to be like a hot topic per se on your worship team, potentially at the beginning of practice. And I think what you have to do is, I have come to realize that any of these kind of issues in the church world are a loss for everybody in the church world. And I don't like to shed any kind of shadow or continue in the gossip and the talk about another pastor, because honestly, everybody is hurt in this. when a church, probably one of the largest churches of all time, has this kind of issue, when Satan attacks that church and actually prevails in some way, then the entire world is going to know about it, and that sheds, or that casts a shadow on the church in general, and people are going to have more of a negative connotation to what church is, or respond more negatively to, oh, you're a pastor. Well, that doesn't mean much anymore. That may be their thought process at that point. And so if your teams are talking about this, I know for me, if I hear people on my team talking about it, then it might be good to shut it down in a way of, you know what? Things happen, people sin, and this is horrible. And it's absolutely horrible for the entire church body, not just their church, not just our church, but it's horrible for the entire church body. And anyone could fall into any kind of sin if they don't have proper guardrails up, if they don't have things in place in their life. And honestly, we just need to pray and not talk about it in a way of, oh, did you hear what that pastor did? I can't believe that. Or somebody, some people would be like, I knew it all along. They didn't know anything. You hear these kinds of things. And so that, for me, would probably be why I would choose not to do a Hillsong song right now, because of those conversations that you may have to have ahead of rehearsal or whenever you get together. But then again, it might be a good conversation to have, maybe not playing a song to have the conversation, but it might be a good conversation to have of, I don't want to hear you guys talking about this in a negative way against one of our own. I say one of our own because I believe he's, more of a evangelical Christian, or a Christian like we are. And it just stinks for the entire church body. And have that conversation with your team to diffuse those kinds of conversations that they may be having outside of the church or wherever they are, or with non-Christians, in a way of, I don't know.
You bring up a good point about using this as a teachable moment for our people. And maybe because, some, as worship leaders, we have artists we like, right? And so if you've been at your church for a particular amount of time, you might have been introducing your church to a certain artist, right? That could be, in your case, it's Maverick City, and for a long time it was Elevation. And so you might not have this big of a challenge, but I think about worship leaders who Hillsong was their artist, right? Like, that's who they always enjoyed getting music from. That's who they feel like as though their church responded well to in terms of those types of songs. They may have a much bigger challenge because they have to consider, do we now take a lot of these songs out of our repertoire? And so, it's easier, I think, for you to say, hey, I'm gonna cut out Hillsong songs because they're not a big part of what you do, and they're not necessarily a big part of what we do either. I think we probably do more than you, but we can certainly get away with not doing it. I think about, and I actually this Sunday, now that I think about it, we're probably singing one for one of our services, and so I wonder if anybody is gonna think anything or say anything, and so this Sunday may certainly be interesting. If a conversation does come up, I'm kind of curious to see what happens. I mean, there's rehearsal.
I don't think there's anything wrong with just kind of seeing what happens, at least right now, and what conversations come up. As long as, for me, I'll just say for me, as long as I'm not continuing the conversation in a negative way of like, I can't believe he would do that. That's not where I want to be by any means, because it really could happen to anybody, regardless of what we believe. But then again, Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it might be okay to have those conversations, but then at some point you go, okay, do we start taking them off the schedules? If we do a lot of them, do we kind of start looking at some other stuff, because this ongoing conversation or issue is probably not good and probably not helping, because it's still surfacing in our mind all the time. And I think when you do have such a big, when Hillsong has a big influence in your church and your church body, they're going to know, like a lot of people do know, that even that are not on our worship team, that Elevation in the past, and then Maverick City and Tribal and others like that are very big parts of our repertoire. And it's okay that they know. And if something happened in one of those worlds, it would be very heartbreaking, because I would have to be dealing with the same issue of, what do I do? And of course, then it takes a turn into the defense of, well, when that song was written, first of all, you see who wrote it. And when that song was written, that person was in a great place spiritually. And that song has a great meaning spiritually and whatever else. And do you fight that, or do you just kind of move on? And maybe in a lot of ways,
and
I'll just move on, because there's like a million
and
songs.
This is not the first time something like this has happened.
No, not at all.
I've been thinking about, there's a Hillsong artist. He was a writer, and then in recent years he's come out and says he no longer believes in Jesus. He no longer believes there's a God. As a matter of fact, he's very pessimistic towards Christianity now. And so I don't remember his name, but if I told you the songs he wrote, I believe one of those is praise the name of the Lord our God.
Oh, really?
I think that one. Yeah.
Okay.
He was one of the primary writers, and I want to look him up. I don't have it. I won't do it right now. Anyway, the question is, do we sing his songs? But I think when I was thinking about it at the time, I was saying to myself, you know something? Most of our church members don't even know who he is.
I mean,
they're not gonna have this.
Are you okay with me saying who it is?
Go ahead. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure it was Marty Sampson.
Marty Sampson. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I
looked it up, so
that's it. Yeah.
It just came
Marty
to mind.
Sampson.
Yeah, Marty Sampson came out in 2019 that he lost his faith.
Yeah, and go look up the songs he's written. But most of our people aren't aware of who he is.
Oh, my gosh. Songs written or co-written by Sampson include a list.
Name a couple.
By Your Side, For This Cause, You Are My World, Blessed Hope, For All You've Done. I know that one. God, He Reigns. That's Mighty to Save. Oh, Lord. Savior King. Faith, Hope, and Love. No Other Name. Look to You, More Than Life. Oh, I know that one. That was on that same album. King of Majesty. Oh, Best Friend.
You need to come to the later albums.
You are my best friend.
You're looking at the older albums, man.
I'm trying. All right, let's see. United We Stand, all of the above. Aftermath, Let There Be Light, Open Heaven. No way. Okay, well, maybe he just wrote a bunch of old stuff.
No. I'll tell you right
Extended now. Play. Yeah, I mean, those were albums. And these are the songs underneath these albums are the ones that he. Oh my gosh!
Okay, Marty Sampson wrote. He wrote, "Oh Praise the Name."
Praise the Name. Open Heaven. Look to the Sun.
He wrote, "Came to my rescue."
Oh my God!
For who you are, I will worship you for who you are. So a lot of these are old stuff too.
But what I was reading were album titles. I didn't realize the songs underneath them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that is nuts. Hallelujah. Take all of me. I remember a ton
Anyway,
of these songs.
Here's a guy that writes.
He wrote "Tell the World" with Douglas in it. Okay.
Here's a guy that writes a lot of the songs that I sung.
Me too.
For that and like, do we take some of those out? And so I would say no, because our people don't know who he is. But I don't want to get
the latest.
Think about this, and then also.
Well, the latest of this
also
would
not
be.
Think.
I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
I know. No, go ahead. What were you gonna say? You saying the latest? You have the latest song?
The latest album was "There Is More" and "God So Loved," and then "The Lord's Prayer." Yeah, but go ahead.
Hold on, I want to look at that one. If I know this one here.
I remember both of them. I didn't do any of these, and we did look to the sun.
I for God so loved. I liked that one, but we never did it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's easy to go ahead and say when someone does something wrong, let's cancel them. And really, Hillsong, the church, it's hard to say the church did something wrong. Like, that's a lot. Like, it's like if one person there does something wrong, now we've branded the church as saying they've done something wrong. And clearly we recognize the leader or leadership have done things wrong in the past. But as far as I understand, what I did like about Brian Houston was that he did not make himself the face of Hillsong. Clearly, he was a teaching pastor for a long time. Yeah, right now he is, but that's not. There are other people that have still been the face of Hillsong. Mm-hmm. A lot of their artists. But what we do is we take the outlier, the anomaly, and then we say that's the whole institution, right? Yeah. And we do that with everything.
Oh yeah.
Not just the church, but we could do it with government. Although I think all government politicians are corrupt. It's easy for me to say that, right?
Yeah.
But
are you still going to watch Men in Black?
I don't. Yeah.
Sorry, is that a different scandal?
I don't.
My bad.
I just don't want us to get into the habit of canceling, like this, the cancel culture idea, mm-hmm. where the moment someone does something wrong, or they do something I don't like, or they're a part of a different political party than me, I just cancel them out. Like, yeah. I don't think that's what this is about. I think there's a spiritual component to this that we're looking out for our people, and we're not saying, hey, Hillsong, these songs are bad now, right? Mm-hmm. But what we are saying is there might be some challenges in leading our people right now with their music, with all the negativity that's going around their music, not influencing their experience in worship. So that's my thoughts on it. Yeah, man.
I think it's very easy to just say, no, we're not going to do their stuff anymore. And then, mm-hmm. A lot of people will do that, and it'll be a very big blow to them as far as their energy and excitement about writing new music. I'm sure there's stuff they're working on right now. Mm-hmm. And, if I had any voice into what they're doing, like if I could just call one of them up right now and say anything, I would just say, keep going. Keep writing. God's still mm-hmm. using you. Yeah, your brother screwed up, but keep going. Maybe sit for a few minutes and wait some of it out, but keep going, because man, God can still use them, and mm-hmm. and maybe if they can't within that particular organization, that church, then they take their talents elsewhere or just on their own name and keep writing, because I wouldn't want to lose out on some amazing songs and amazing things that they could create that is just tainted by somebody else
Definitely.
and their decision.
Yeah, definitely. I would, if I could say something to them, I'd probably say, like, remember they're writing for their people first,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And there is an idea when you get bigger, and I see it, you know, when I work at a larger church, but we think about the other, we think about all the people that we're ministering to, like, not our church, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we can forget, like, that's number one, you know?
Yeah.
And so for them to remember that they're writing for their church first, and
That's
and
so
not
good.
so much to worry about all of us out here.
That's right.
So
That's so good. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, so for me, I'm going to probably just continue doing what I'm doing. And if a Hillsong song comes up, I mean, we'll just approach it one at a time. But
one
we
at a
just
time.
we just don't use a lot of their stuff. I mean, not really not trying to say anything against them, but I mean, I'm not in high school anymore. So I just kind of look elsewhere. I don't know.
I still
It's-
like their stuff. I still think they wrote musically better than. Anyway, I don't want to make this a comparison contest. So,
yeah. Well, I
but
don't.
were my
well,
of all the bigger groups out there, they were still my favorite. You know me. I have the biggest dislike for CCM on the whole.
mhm.
Hillsong I could live with.
Really? Okay.
You know.
Yeah. They wrote a
Yeah.
lot of really good things. Like
Yeah.
what
And
I mean. What?
No, go ahead.
What I mean by not in high school anymore is like that was all I listened to when we were in high school, because that was who was making the music. Like Hillsong United, man, that was music that we did in youth group in Douglasville, Georgia. Like most of it was Hillsong, and
Yeah.
so yeah, that's why I said not in high school anymore. But they have written some pretty decent songs as of late, and I've done a lot of them. Well, a handful of them. But
Gotcha.
yeah, we'll just approach it one at a time. That's all we can do. So now that since we've talked about it and we're done with it, what are you into right now? Like, where have you been? What's going on?
A lot.
I'm just playing.
I am trying to grow my piano business, but I haven't had time to focus on that because I've been focused on so much with church.
Yeah, me too.
So every year our student choir makes an album, and this year, but it's more our album that we use the tracks and stuff for Mission Trip. Well, I wanted to approach it a bit differently this year and try to, be a bit more creative. So we're taking a lot of, CCM standards, I'm going to call them right now. But we're putting 80s beats on them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So I'm producing it musically myself because, for one, I enjoy that part of it. So if I don't do the part of my job I enjoy, it's like, why do the job,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you need to do the parts you enjoy.
I enjoy that. So I really want to do that. So I've been working on that, just hacking that away, and yeah, that's really been taking up my time, and then just handling a lot of the events that we have coming up this Sunday. Man, it's like I think I got 4 things going on.
Oh, really?
And so just navigating everything with church, man. But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I feel like I'm being challenged in my leadership abilities. I'm growing as a leader, so I couldn't really ask for something better.
Yeah. I've been trying to.
Yeah,
You didn't ask. You didn't ask, but I've been trying to. Man, so one of our most fun videos to make are behind the scenes, and I said at the top of the year to myself and you and some others. So I'm gonna do 12 this year. I'm gonna one a month. It's month 3, and I just got canceled on. Love you, Grayson. So if you watch this video, I'm not mad at you. But I just got canceled on due to some other things. And we weren't able to film the one we wanted to film this month. But we're going to that church regardless in a few weeks. And we got a couple others lined up-ish. So I'm excited to show you those churches and what they're working with, because God's doing some great things there, and blessing them with some great things to be able to do those great things with. Also, I have been into some of the tech stuff recently, and I'm not going to give anything away because this podcast will go out before what I just filmed yesterday. But I filmed a video. I was very nervous about doing a video like this, but we went to the streets of Asheville. We went to the streets of Asheville and asked random people a question, and I'm going to leave it to the video when it comes out. So I'm excited about that kind of video. I don't know how it'll do. Probably nobody will watch it, but it'll still be something that challenged me, man. It challenged me to think about what I am doing as a worship leader and why I'm doing it in those 20 conversations. Why am I doing what I do?
That's cool.
And who am I doing it for?
Mm-hmm.
And it just opened my eyes to, there are so many people out there that do not know Jesus. And we are sitting in our rooms singing for each other, it seems like sometimes, when there's people literally out there walking the streets that have all kind of whacked out thoughts about what we do and what this is. So I've been challenged, to say the least, and I'm excited for that video to come out, because I even think you were a little nervous about it for me. But dude, I'm pumped.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I've been evaluating questions like that, not what I do as a worship leader, but from a, one I've considered, will I be a worship leader 10 years from now? Now, I shouldn't say this probably on a podcast that other people ask, but like, I'm 31, and
golly, you're already 31 years, so old. Jeez.
In the practical sense, like, how many, like, it seems like worship leading is a young man's sport.
Somebody
like in your
said
30s,
that
that's when you're
yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, like, and so clearly I'm supposed to be like in my prime right now. And so what am I setting myself up for? So that's a question I've been asking. I enjoy what I do. Would I do it longer? Of course I would. But you can look, a church called me about a job yesterday. I didn't call them. They called me. I just want to make that very clear. And so
it wasn't my church, was it?
No, it wasn't. I wasn't interested by any means.
They're not trying to replace me, are they?
But no, they're not. But I did go and check out their website, and I could tell that that worship leader probably should have left 15 years ago. Oh, because it just felt 15 years old. Like you can feel you can feel like it was old. And I had, it's been a while since I even had seen something feel that way. I'm even describing it weirdly, right? So anyway, I've been asking myself that question. What am I going to be doing 10 years from now? And one thing I've been thinking about is, how am I not developing just musicians, but how am I developing worship leaders around me? Yeah. So that more like I'm a facilitator, organizer, administrator. Why you got tape in the camera, bro?
It's a lens hood. That's what I've been playing with for an hour. Sorry. Yeah. It helps me think.
But how am I doing that? And I also have some other thoughts. Like, I don't know if I think the same person should be leading worship every week. But that's another podcast conversation.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic. for discussion.
Yeah.
I think when I hit 40, I'm gonna ask. If we're still doing this, the day I turn 40, we're gonna release a podcast called "Am I Too Old to Do This? To be a worship leader?"
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think 40 is fine. It's just a question of, I've seen 45-year-old guys lead worship, and I know what they look like to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And will I be that guy?
Yeah. But then again, I've seen 50-year-olds or more or older lead worship, and it's like, dang, they like that. There's no age gap. Like they're in it and on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it just depends. I think it really depends on how willing you are to grow as a person and as a worship leader throughout your career, and how willing you are to change. And so, yeah. I'm not too worried about it. I used to be really worried about it when I was younger, but now that I'm a little bit older, I'm not as worried about it as I was, because I every day I wake up, I'm like, all right, I'm getting started again. Let's do this. And you're right. If we're not developing people under us to, even if they're never going to be one of our successors or whatever, if we're still not trying to develop those people and produce more and more worship leaders, then we're not. I don't believe we're doing our jobs, because we need to be developing people.
And I don't even think about it in terms of succession. Like,
me neither. I'm just saying, I want to develop them to, like, what if I died today or tomorrow, and that person was the one that people looked at as the new worship leader, at least in interim? Could they do it?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want to get the people, my interns and the people under me to that point, at least, or try to. And I mean, I hope they go on and do bigger and greater and better things than what I'm doing right now. I'm just saying that's my goal, is to see if we can get them to that point while they're with me. Yeah. But anyway,
I have this other dream that I want to make our church, our student ministry, because we have a pretty robust music program, right, in our student ministry. And I want it to be the center of, like, musical, like, I want it to be a center of musical culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I want 10 years from now, a bunch of worship leaders in Dallas all know each other because they came out of First Dallas Student Ministries, right? I think that'd be really cool. That's not like that has like a spiritual component to it, obviously. But I want it to be known as, like, the place where beast musicians come from.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it can happen. It can happen.
I'm done talking. I'm hungry. I need to eat.
Me too. Where are we going to eat? Are you going anywhere? Or are you going to the kitchen?
Zoom?
Are you going somewhere? Or are you going to the kitchen?
No, I'm going somewhere. Every Friday I go somewhere with my wife.
Okay, where are we going?
Because she works from home.
I know. I talked to her a minute ago. She was like, she yelled at me across the house. She's like, "Hey, he's downstairs."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. No, every Friday we go somewhere. I don't know where we're going.
That's good.
You know what viewers don't know?
What do they not know?
Viewers don't know I have not actually seen you in 5 years. No, that's a lie.
18. So 19, 20, 21, 4 years. Well, 3.5,
years.
almost 4 years. 3.5 years, because it was August or May.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming up. 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, in May. It was May 2018.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I guess. You need to come to Dallas.
No, that's the next time. I am coming to Dallas. We're gonna just we'll film everything. I don't care what it is. We'll film us going to eat.
Yeah. All right,
man. Well, y'all have fun. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm so glad you are here with us and back with us in another podcast. If you like what you see here, if you're new here because of the title maybe, and you're for some reason at the end of this video, we're so glad you are. Consider subscribing. There's a lot more that's going to happen on the channel, and we'll see you next time. Remember, great worship leaders are always learning. See you later.
For the record.